The Silent Watchers. The Kvalith Empire had mapped 73% of the known galaxy. Their survey fleets moved like clockwork through uncharted space, documenting every planet, every asteroid, every speck of matter that might hold value. They were thorough, methodical, and patient. 3 centuries of expansion had taught them that the universe rewarded those who looked carefully and acted decisively. Commander Thelva stood on the bridge of the survey vessel Eternal Gaze, watching the holographic display rotate before her. The planet below was unremarkable at first glance. Rocky, cold, barely within the habitable zone of a dying red star, atmosphere thin but breathable. No obvious resources worth extracting. By all standard protocols, it should have been marked as uninhabitable and forgotten. But the sensors told a different story. There were structures on the surface, not ancient ruins, but active installations generating heat signatures and electromagnetic fields. Someone lived here, someone who had gone to great lengths to remain unnoticed. Thelva's secondary arms moved across her control interface, pulling up the detailed scans. The Kvalith were insectoid by nature, with 4 arms and compound eyes that could process multiple data streams simultaneously. She had commanded survey missions for 40 years and had seen many strange things. But this felt different. The structures were wrong. Half of them appeared primitive, constructed from local stone and metal with no advanced technology visible. The other half showed energy signatures that shouldn't exist outside of capital-class starships. It was as if 2 different civilizations occupied the same space, one barely past their industrial age, the other approaching technological transcendence. Her science officer, a younger Kvalith named Rixon, approached with visible concern. His antennae twitched nervously, a sign of distress among their kind. "Commander, the energy readings make no sense. We're detecting quantum processors operating alongside what appears to be combustion-based power generation. Advanced medical facilities next to agricultural fields worked by hand." "It's completely contradictory." Thelva nodded slowly. She had noticed the same patterns. Nothing about this settlement followed logical development paths. Civilizations built upward, not sideways. They progressed from primitive to advanced, not both simultaneously. "Life signs?" she asked. "Approximately 15,000 biological entities. The genetic markers identify them as human." That stopped her. Humans were known to the Kvalith, though only through historical records and distant observations. Earth had gone silent nearly 200 years ago, sealed behind some kind of planetary barrier that no one could penetrate or explain. The humans who had been traveling the stars when it happened became scattered, isolated. Most had integrated into other civilizations or died out. But 15,000 humans living on an unmarked world in the middle of nowhere, using technology that defied classification, that was a mystery worth investigating. Thelva made her decision quickly. "Prepare a scout team. 6 members, full sensor equipment, diplomatic protocols. We make peaceful contact, learn what we can, and report back. No weapons unless absolutely necessary." The scout ship dropped through the thin atmosphere 3 hours later. The planet's surface was harsh, wind-swept plains of gray stone broken by deep ravines and scattered vegetation. The human settlement sat at the edge of one such ravine. Buildings carved partially into the cliff face, partially constructed on the plateau above. As the scout ship approached, something unexpected happened. Nothing. No communications hailed them. No defense systems activated. No one came out to meet them or even acknowledge their presence. The settlement simply continued its routine, as if a massive alien spacecraft hadn't just descended from the sky. The scout team leader, a veteran explorer named Kevin, found this more disturbing than any hostile response. In his experience, ignorance was impossible. Every civilization reacted to first contact. Fear, curiosity, aggression, something. This calculated indifference suggested they had been expected. Or worse, that they didn't matter. The team landed in an open area near the settlement's edge. As they disembarked, wearing environmental suits and carrying translation devices, they finally saw the humans. A woman walked toward them. She was tall, lean, with skin darkened by harsh sunlight and eyes that seemed to look through rather than at them. She wore simple clothing, practical and worn, but around her neck was a device that glowed with soft blue light. Technology far beyond anything that should exist in a settlement of this apparent development level. She stopped 10 meters away and spoke in perfect Kvalith. Not through a translator, but in their own language, with proper inflection and grammatical structure. "You came faster than the others. The Torvani took 6 months to find us. The Helixians took 4 years. You managed it in 3 weeks after entering this sector. Impressive. Kevon felt his confidence waver. She knew they were coming. She knew who they were, and she had been monitoring their approach. I am Kevon of the Kvalith Empire. We come in peace, seeking to understand. You seek to catalog us, the woman interrupted gently. To determine if we're a threat, a resource, or irrelevant. It's what your kind does. It's what all expanding civilizations do. We understand. We were once the same. She turned and began walking toward the settlement. My name is Dr. Sarah Chen. I was born on Earth 193 years ago. I was 28 years old when the silence fell. I am now 28 years old still. Come, we have much to show you. The scout team exchanged glances but followed. They had no other choice. Their mission was information, and this human was offering it freely. Too freely, the settlement was stranger up close. Children played in dirt streets, laughing and running with the carefree nature of youth across species. But their eyes held something ancient, a depth of understanding that didn't match their apparent age. Farmers tended crops using hand tools, yet the plants themselves were unlike anything in the Kvalith botanical databases, growing at impossible speeds with fruits that shimmered with internal light. Dr. Chen led them to a building that looked like a simple meeting hall from the outside. Inside, it was something else entirely. The walls were lined with screens showing data streams, genetic codes, astronomical charts, and equations that made Kevon's head hurt to look at. At the center of the room was a device that seemed to bend light around itself, creating a sphere of perfect darkness. This is the archive, Dr. Chen explained. Everything we've learned, everything we've become stored here. When Earth fell silent, 5 colony ships were already beyond the barrier. 3 made it to their destinations. 1 was destroyed. We were the 5th. Our ship was damaged, failing. We had 2 choices. Die in space or land on the nearest habitable world and hope for rescue. She touched a control panel, and holographic images filled the air. A human colony ship, ancient by modern standards, limping through space with dying engines. The planet below barren and cold, the desperate landing that killed half the crew. Rescue never came. We were alone. 247 survivors on a world that could barely support microbial life. We should have died within a year. Instead, we made a choice that changed everything. The images shifted, showing humans working frantically, building laboratories, conducting experiments, not on the planet, but on themselves. We called it the adaptation protocol. If we couldn't change the world to suit us, we would change ourselves to suit the world. We had geneticists, biotechnicians, neuroscientists, and the remnants of Earth's most advanced research. We had nothing to lose and everything to gain. Kevon watched in growing horror as the images showed what came next. Humans modifying their own DNA, integrating technology directly into their nervous systems, extending their lifespans, enhancing their cognitive abilities, not gradually, not carefully, but desperately and completely. The first generation suffered. 60% didn't survive the changes, but those who did became something new, stronger, smarter, capable of surviving in environments that would kill baseline humans. We learned to slow our aging, to heal from injuries that should be fatal, to process information like living computers. Dr. Chen turned to face the scout team directly, and we learned something else, something that terrified us and liberated us at the same time. We learned that evolution isn't a ladder, it's a web, and humanity had only been exploring one tiny corner of it. She gestured to the device at the center of the room, the sphere of darkness. This is the Nexus. 190 years ago, we created a neural network that connects every human in this colony. Not control, not a hive mind. Connection. Shared knowledge, shared experience, shared growth. When one of us learns something, we all learn it. When one of us suffers, we all feel it. We became more than individuals. We became a collective consciousness that still values individuality. Rickson, who had been recording everything, finally spoke. This is impossible. The energy requirements alone would drain a star. The processing power needed would exceed anything we've ever measured. Dr. Chen smiled. That's because you're thinking in terms of external technology. We don't power the Nexus. We are the Nexus. Every human here contributes a fraction of their neural capacity, their bioelectric field, their very consciousness. Together, we create something that transcends any machine. She walked closer to the Kvalith team, and they instinctively stepped back. There was something in her eyes now, something vast and unknowable. You came here to catalog us, to understand us, to determine if we fit into your maps and charts and categories. But here's what you need to understand, Commander Thelva. We are beyond your categories now. We are what humanity becomes when it stops fighting evolution and embraces it completely. Kevin's communicator crackled. The voice of his pilot came through, strained with panic. Sir, we have a problem. The ship's systems are being accessed. Someone is downloading our entire database. I can't stop it. It's like the computer is helping them. Dr. Chen's expression didn't change. We're not stealing your information. We're learning from you about you. It's what we do. Knowledge is survival, and we will never stop learning. Thelva's voice came through the communication link, sharp and commanding. Kevin returned to the ship immediately. We're leaving this system. But before the scout team could move, the children who had been playing outside entered the building. There were 12 of them, ranging in apparent age from 6 to 16. They formed a semicircle around the Kavaleth, not threatening, just watching with those two old eyes. One of them, a boy who looked about 10, spoke in flawless Kavaleth. You're afraid of us. We understand. Fear is natural when you encounter something beyond your comprehension, but you should know something before you leave. He pointed upward toward the sky. There are 67 other colonies like ours, scattered across this region of space, all connected through the Nexus, all growing, learning, evolving. We are not a threat to you. We have no interest in conquest or expansion. We simply want to survive and grow. Dr. Chen moved to stand beside the children. But we are also not defenseless. The Torvani tried to study us by force. They sent warships. Those ships never reported back. The Helixians tried to contain us, to quarantine this world. Their containment fleet disappeared. We don't seek conflict, but we have evolved defenses that you cannot imagine. The sphere of darkness at the center of the room suddenly expanded, filling half the space with a void that seemed to pull at reality itself. Within it, images formed. Kvalith ships surveying this very planet. Every ship that had passed through this sector in the past 3 weeks recorded and analyzed. We knew you were coming before you knew we existed, Dr. Chen said quietly. We have learned to sense the ripples in space-time that your faster-than-light drives create. We hear the electromagnetic signatures of your communications. We see the gravitational distortions of your mass. You cannot approach us undetected. You never could. The void collapsed back into its sphere and the room returned to normal. But nothing felt normal anymore. Kevin found his voice, though it shook. What do you want from us? Dr. Chen's smile was sad, almost wistful. We want what all living things want. To be left alone to grow in peace. To be recognized as sapient beings with rights and sovereignty. To not be treated as curiosities or threats, but as neighbors in this vast universe. She walked past the Kavaleth team toward the door. Return to your ship. Tell your commanders what you've seen. Tell them that humanity has changed, evolved, become something new. Tell them that we claim this world and these stars as our territory. And tell them that we offer friendship to those who respect our boundaries, and oblivion to those who don't. As the scout team hurried back to their ship, escorted by silent human children, Kevin couldn't shake the feeling that they hadn't discovered this colony at all. They had been allowed to find it. This was a message, a warning, a declaration. Humanity hadn't died when Earth fell silent. It had transformed, and the galaxy was about to learn what that meant. The scout ship lifted off without incident, climbing back through the thin atmosphere toward the eternal gaze waiting in orbit. But as they ascended, every screen on board flickered once, just once, and in that flicker, a message appeared in every known language simultaneously. We are watching. We are learning. We are growing. Welcome to humanity's new chapter. Then the screens returned to normal as if nothing had happened. But deep in the ship's computer core, buried in protected memory that no one would find for months, a seed had been planted. Information about the Kavalith, their technology, their biology, their culture, all quietly copied and transmitted back to the colony below. The humans weren't just surviving anymore. They were preparing for something bigger, something that would change everything the Kavalith thought they knew about the universe and humanity's place in it. Commander Thelva watched the planet shrink in the view screen, her forehands gripping the armrests of her command chair. Every instinct told her to call in a battle fleet, to neutralize this threat before it could grow. But another part of her, the part that had spent 40 years exploring the unknown, whispered a different truth. This wasn't a threat that could be neutralized. This was evolution in action, and you didn't stop evolution. You either adapted to it or went extinct. She opened a communication channel to Kvalith High Command. "This is Commander Thelva of the Eternal Gaze. I am filing a Priority Alpha report. We have encountered a human colony designated Refuge 7. Recommend immediate diplomatic protocols and territorial recognition. This civilization represents a significant shift in the balance of galactic power." She paused, choosing her next words carefully. "And I recommend we approach them as equals, not subjects, because I believe they have the capability to enforce that equality, whether we acknowledge it or not." As the Eternal Gaze prepared to jump to faster than light speed, none of the crew noticed the slight delay in the engine startup sequence, just 3 milliseconds, barely perceptible. But in those 3 milliseconds, every navigational chart, every star map, every piece of data about Kvalith space lanes and colony locations was copied and transmitted back to Refuge 7. The humans were indeed watching, and they were learning faster than anyone could imagine. Evolution's edge, the Kvalith High Council chamber was a monument to order and reason. Crystalline walls refracted light into precise geometric patterns, and the air hummed with the low-frequency vibrations that helped the Kvalith think clearly. 17 council members sat in their designated positions, compound eyes focused on the holographic display at the chamber's center. Commander Thelva stood before them, her posture rigid with military discipline, but her antennae betrayed her nervousness. She had delivered her report 3 times now, each time met with the same disbelieving silence. Council Prime Vexthor finally spoke, his voice carrying the weight of 2 centuries of leadership. "You expect us to believe that a colony of 15,000 humans, stranded on a barely habitable world, has developed technology that rivals our empire? That they can read our thoughts, steal our data, and threaten our warships? I expect you to believe the evidence," Thelva replied carefully. "Every word I've spoken is recorded. Every scan is documented. The data theft from our systems is verifiable. This is not speculation, Council Prime. This is reality." Another council member, Lyrith, leaned forward. Her silver carapace gleamed in the refracted light. "Then we destroy them. A single orbital bombardment would eliminate the threat. We have done this before when necessary." "The Torvani sent 3 warships," Thelva said quietly. "They never returned. The Helixians sent a containment fleet of 12 vessels. They disappeared without a trace. Whatever defensive capabilities these humans possess, they are effective against military force." The council chamber fell silent. The Kvalith had built their empire on calculated risk and overwhelming preparation. They did not gamble with military assets. They did not engage enemies they didn't understand. Vexthor's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. "Then we send diplomats. We learn more. We assess the true scope of this threat and respond appropriately. Prepare an envoy, full ambassadorial credentials. Make it clear we come seeking understanding, not conflict." Thelva felt a wave of relief. Diplomacy was always preferable to war. "I volunteer to lead the delegation, Council Prime. I have already made contact. It would show continuity and good faith." "Granted. Take whatever resources you need. But Thelva, understand this. If these humans truly pose a threat to Kvalith sovereignty, we will respond with the full force of the Empire. Diplomatic niceties have their limits." 3 days later, the diplomatic vessel Peaceful Approach entered orbit around Refuge 7. This ship was different from the survey vessel. Larger, more impressive, designed to project power through presence rather than weapons. Its hull bore the symbols of the Kvalith Empire, and its communication arrays broadcast messages of peaceful intent in every known language. This time, the humans responded immediately. Dr. Sarah Chen's face appeared on the main view screen, her expression neutral but not unfriendly. Behind her, the walls of what appeared to be a command center pulsed with soft blue light. "Welcome back, Commander Thelva. We've been expecting you. Permission to land is granted. Coordinates are being transmitted to your navigation systems now." The ease of it unsettled Thelva. No negotiations, no demands, no posturing. Just simple acceptance, as if the arrival of a Kvalith diplomatic mission was as natural as sunrise. The landing coordinates led them to a different area of the settlement, a flat plateau where a proper landing facility had been constructed. Not primitive anymore, this was sophisticated engineering. Landing pads with integrated systems, atmospheric processors, communication towers. It had been built in the 3 days since their last visit. Impossible. Even with advanced construction methods, this would take weeks. As the diplomatic team disembarked, Thelva noticed something else. The humans who came to greet them were different from those she had seen before. These wore uniforms, simple but well-made, and they moved with coordinated precision. Not soldiers exactly, but not civilians either. Something in between. Dr. Chen was among them, still wearing the glowing device around her neck. She approached with open hands, a human gesture of peace that the Kvaleth recognized from their cultural databases. "Commander, welcome, and welcome to your delegation. We have prepared accommodations for your stay and arranged meetings with our council. We hope to answer all your questions and ease any concerns your empire may have." Thelva's diplomatic training took over. "On behalf of the Kvaleth High Council, I thank you for your hospitality. We come seeking understanding and hoping to establish formal relations between our peoples." "Understanding," Dr. Chen repeated, as if tasting the word. "Yes, we can offer understanding. But first you must understand what you're truly looking at when you see us." She gestured toward a large building at the edge of the plateau. "Come, let us show you what we've become." The building was part conference center, part museum, part scientific laboratory. The walls displayed humanity's history, from Earth's ancient past to the moment of the silence to the desperate survival of the colonies. But interspersed with historical images were medical scans, genetic charts, neurological diagrams that showed the radical changes these humans had undergone. A man stepped forward to join Dr. Chen. He was massive, easily 7 feet tall, with muscles that looked like they had been carved from stone. But his eyes were gentle, and when he spoke, his voice was soft. "My name is Marcus Webb. I was one of the original colonists, a structural engineer. I was 42 years old when we landed here. That was 187 years ago. I am still 42 years old biologically. My body has not aged a day since we completed the first phase of the adaptation protocol." He held up his hand and the skin became transparent. The Kvaleth delegation gasped as they saw not bone and tissue, but an intricate network of biomechanical structures. Living technology integrated seamlessly with organic matter. "We didn't just modify our genetics," Marcus continued. "We transformed ourselves at the cellular level. Our bodies now produce nanoscale machines that repair damage, fight disease, and enhance our natural capabilities. We are stronger, faster, more resilient than baseline humans ever were." Another human joined them, a woman who looked barely 20 years old. "I'm Dr. Amara Okafor. I was born here on Refuge 7 60 years after the landing. I never knew Earth. This colony is my entire world. But through the Nexus, I carry the memories of everyone who came before me. I remember Earth as if I lived there. I remember the landing as if I was aboard that ship. Our past is not history to us. It is living memory, shared across our entire population." Thelva struggled to process this. "You share memories? All of you?" "Not just memories," Dr. Chen explained. "Thoughts, feelings, knowledge, experiences. When one of us learns something, we all have access to that knowledge. When one of us solves a problem, we all benefit from the solution. We are individuals, yes. We have our own personalities, our own desires, our own free will, but we are also part of something larger, a collective consciousness that makes us greater than the sum of our parts." She touched the device around her neck, and suddenly the room filled with light. Not ordinary light, but something that seemed to have depth and texture. The Kvaleth delegation felt it wash over them, through them, not painful but profoundly strange. "This is us," Dr. Chen said softly. "This is the Nexus, 15,000 minds connected, sharing, growing together. Can you sense it? The thoughts moving like currents in an ocean? The ideas flowing from one mind to another? The collective intelligence that emerges when we truly work as one?" Rickson, who had accompanied the diplomatic mission as a scientific observer, scanned the phenomenon with his instruments. The readings made no sense. The energy signature suggested quantum entanglement on a biological scale, something that shouldn't be possible outside of laboratory conditions. "How?" he breathed. "How did you achieve this?" Marcus smiled. "Desperation and genius make excellent partners. We had biotechnologists who understood neural interfaces, geneticists who could modify DNA with precision, quantum physicists who understood entanglement, and we had no choice but to succeed. So we combined their knowledge, took risks that no ethics committee would have approved, and transformed ourselves." The light faded, and the room returned to normal, but the Kvaleth delegation felt different now, as if they had glimpsed something fundamental about the universe that they hadn't known existed. Dr. Chen led them deeper into the building, to a chamber that looked like a hybrid between a garden and a medical facility. Plants grew everywhere, but they pulsed with the same blue light as the Nexus devices. And among the plants, humans sat in meditative poses, their eyes closed, their breathing synchronized. This is the deep Nexus, Dr. Chen explained. Where we go when we need to solve problems that require our full collective intelligence. When one human thinks, they access perhaps 10% of their brain's capacity. When all 15,000 of us think together, focused on a single problem, we become something unprecedented, a superintelligence that can process information and generate solutions at speeds that rival your most advanced computers. She gestured to the plants. These are symbiotic organisms we developed. They help regulate the Nexus, provide biological computing power, and maintain the quantum entanglement that connects us. We are not just humans anymore, Commander. We are a hybrid life form, part biological, part technological, part something entirely new. Thelva felt her certainty crumbling. Every report, every briefing, every assumption about humanity had been wrong. These weren't survivors clinging to existence. They weren't refugees hoping for rescue. They were pioneers of a new form of existence, and they had succeeded beyond anything the Kevaleth had imagined possible. "Why show us this?" she asked. "Why reveal your capabilities so openly?" Dr. Chen's expression grew serious. Because secrecy breeds fear, and fear breeds conflict. We don't want war with the Kevaleth or any other civilization. We simply want the right to exist and evolve as we choose. By showing you the truth, we hope to build trust. To demonstrate that we are not a threat unless threatened. "But you are a threat," Lirith said bluntly. She had been silent until now, observing everything with calculating intensity. Perhaps not intentionally, but your mere existence challenges the balance of power in this region. If other species learn what you've achieved, they will either try to replicate it or destroy you to prevent it from spreading.